Welcome to Houston Sports Talk with your host, Robert Land.
Oh, no, this was a bad one. Real bad for the Texans season. Lots to talk about. Welcome to our live Texans-Bucs postgame show. Thanks for checking into the Best Houston Sports Podcast, celebrating our 12th anniversary this week. This is not how we wanted to celebrate the 12th anniversary. Of course, part of the Bleav Network, presented by FanDuel. Joining me to break it down, contributor Tom Chavarria, co-host of Bullpen podcast. You know him as our regular doing the postgame shows, and you live YouTube viewers, we want you a part of the conversation. So hit us with your questions and your comments as we move along. But Tom, this is terrible because, you know, I think it's something like 11% of the time when you start off 0-2 in a season, you're not making the playoffs. And I know the division looked easy before the season started, but the Colts right now look unstoppable on offense, and the Texans, just like they always do, they look very stoppable on offense. They keep shooting themselves in the foot, as usual.
Absolutely. 0-2 is not where you want to be. 0-2 normally doesn't get you in the playoffs. It has happened, though. The Chiefs are 0-2, and I don't think anybody believes that they're not going to make the playoffs. I do believe this team can rebound. These are two good football teams they played, 2-0 squads. So this is a game that the Texans absolutely should have won. I want to say that first and foremost. But I don't believe the sky is falling as much as some others would tell you. I do believe that there was a lot of good here. There's a lot of things that are growing pains for me, and I think we saw it tonight, especially with the offensive coordinator, with CJ at the line, and those are things where you hope that they overcome them. Tonight they weren't able to do it.
Yeah, the problem is in two games we're seeing the same old. Debbie says that was dreadful. Noel says I blame the run game, especially Ogunbowale. More on him later. Captain or not, he's not a running back and needs to never see the backfield again. Like I said, more on him in a bit. J-Man, is it just me, or did the offense look better under Slowick? I mean, that's the thing. That's really the thing, Tom. We thought things were going to be different. The offense was going to be different. And it's just a lot of the same stuff. I mean, it's a lot of the stuff that just drives you nuts when you're watching this offense. And, it was almost another entire second half where they didn't score anything. I mean, and that was the Bobby Slowick game plan last year. Don't score anything in the second half. And that's the problem, Tom. It's like you saw progress, but I'm seeing the same old with the offense. It's just rinse and repeat.
Well, the thing I would say is, to the people that thought they were getting something different, what made you think that Nick Caley was just going to walk in here and just be some kind of juggernaut offensive mind who was a tight ends coach before? Don't get me wrong. I still think he can be very good, but it just wasn't going to happen overnight. It wasn't going to happen in 3 preseason games, which they really didn't play a ton, which didn't help. I think matters going forward. I definitely don't feel like it's going to happen in 2 games. There's going to be like weeks and weeks before you see this offense really click. I think there was some strides today. I think they made a concerted effort to get the ball to Nico Collins, which is really good. I think CJ Stroud really has to work on maximizing his protections. Though, remember, this is something that he's going back to trying to do, right? He's protecting himself. The line isn't calling the protections. So when we talk about the running backs, when we talk about guys getting blown up, I mean, somebody's got to help. Those are things that the quarterback, I think, has control over, or should have control over, if CJ is given the keys to the car, as they say. I really think that if you thought it was going to look perfect or really good in 2 weeks, you just didn't understand what they had in front of them. You didn't see all the change that they had to go through. And right now, again, I think the team thought that they were going to be able to lean on this defense. And the defense, for the most part, has been super solid. I obviously, we could ask for the stars and the moon. I think defense has been really good. When you hold 2 teams to under 21 points, that's normally something you could work with. I just think right now the offense just isn't finding its legs. And until it does, you're going to see a lot of games like this. You're not going to feel comfortable. It's going to be a lot of helter-skelter fourth quarters. And you just have to hope you're on top of more of them.
Yeah, we can say the defense has been really good. It's just the fact is you need them to win games, and they're not winning games. And with the offense, on training wheels right now, the defense has got to do more, and I'm going to talk about what they need to do more, but let's get to this game. Let's break it down possession by possession as we do. Texans first possession, Jaylin Noel in the game for kick returns. It immediately pays off. Good return to the 35. His first 2 kick returns, huge upgrade from Dameon Pierce last week. Just massive. Why the Texans couldn't figure this out after the preseason, after what we saw from Dameon Pierce last year, I don't know. But at least we didn't see Dameon Pierce. Why is he still on the team? I keep asking that question, but let's continue. There's a big chunk play by Chubb. Absolutely loving the screen game under Caley. We can say for sure, if there's one thing that has improved vastly, it's the screen game that has absolutely stunk for most of this Texans organization's existence. Chubb picks up 27 to the 29, setting up the great touchdown to Nico. So, Tom, they waste no time getting Nico involved this week. Not too much the rest of the game, but nice early adjustment by Caley and Stroud, getting him the ball.
Absolutely. I think, like I said, the concerted effort to get Nico Collins the ball, I thought was great initially. I think that's what they have to do. I think you saw it on the other side of the ball where regardless of what was going on across from Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield tried to get Mike Evans the ball. And I think that's going forward something that the Texans have to do with Nico Collins. Not concerned with the matchup, not trying to do, well, I know I can beat them with my tight end or I can beat them in the slot. I mean, obviously you want to do that, but your bread and butter, your money maker is Nico Collins. You have to find creative ways to get him the ball.
Bucs first possession, Alshire drops a potential interception. Again, like the defense has to make plays. They literally have to make plays when the offense is on training wheels these first couple of weeks. And because they're not making plays, when they have some opportunities, it's a big deal. Big missed opportunity there because Mike Evans called for a pass interference on Stingley. So, that you thought might have ended the drive, but Baker keeps picking apart the Texans secondary. Kalen Bullock gets cooked by Ryan Miller, Tom. That touchdown drive just looked way too easy to start the game. Again, you could compliment the defense overall, but the first 2 possessions to come out like that, on a Monday Night Football game when you have all the energy and you're trying to get this team turned around after a rough week 1, this defense has got to be dialed in right from the start. I mean, you could say, oh, it doesn't matter because what they ended up with, but this is something that you got to get the whole crowd into the game early in the game, and that's not a way to do it.
I mean, yeah, obviously you want them to put up nothing but zeros. I am going to give credit to Baker Mayfield. That dude has been balling since he's been a Tampa Bay Buck. These games have always been this way where he cooked a D'Amico Ryans defense 2 years ago. So I'm not going to sit here and act like that's not a good football team on the other side. Would I like them to do better? Absolutely. I think as the game got on, the defense got stronger until they ran out of gas. And that's kind of what you want to see from your defense. I really thought, Tampa started out hot. They made some adjustments. And then as we're going to talk about, the Texans defense flexed its muscle. And then you saw a team that wasn't going to give you anything.
Yeah, I give Baker credit, but at the same time, we're talking about before the season, is the Texans the best defense in the NFL? Are they a top 3 defense? Well, if you can't stop Baker Mayfield, if you can't shut him down better than they did in this game, then that's going to be an issue because he's not Josh Allen. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's Lamar Jackson, and that's what you're going to have to go through to get out of the AFC. So let's go back to the game. Another good return by Noel out to the 34. And how about Woody Marks' first NFL catch? 38 yards to the 18. Guess what? Play Woody Marks more. We talked about it last week. We saw it in the preseason. Thank you for finally listening to the Texans fans. We know something about football. We are in Texas, for Christ's sake, okay? This is why you drafted him. But after what looked like a first down inside the 10 by Chubb, classic Texans O-line mistake. Titus called for holding, and Stroud misses Justin Watson in the end zone on 3rd and long. And Tom, you can't just keep leaving 4 points on the board. These field goals are killing. It's the same old. I feel like I've seen this before.
I don't know. Are we talking about what are we talking about exactly? You're saying they can't keep
the Texans not getting 7 and getting 3. I mean, that's what they were experts at last year. That's what they're experts at again this year. And the offensive line didn't help them in that situation. And then Stroud, couldn't make up for it. Maybe Watson, maybe they grabbed him a little bit, but I just thought that Stroud's throw was a little bit off the mark. And even if he didn't hold him, I didn't think Watson would have had a prayer catching that pass.
Absolutely. Stroud has definitely missed some throws the first 2 weeks that I think we're not accustomed to seeing him miss. I do Bleav that, he needs to have some accountability in all this too. You see a lot of fans go and not want to put the bullseye on CJ Stroud because he is the franchise quarterback, and I understand that. But if we're calling a spade all the way around, CJ's got to be better.
Yeah, there's more to talk about with CJ as the game rolls along. Stuff that, I got frustrated with him. You're going to miss some throws, but there's other stuff that we need to talk about. Next possession, EJ Speed blows up Johnson on the kick return. We're going to be talking about the special teams all show long. They were good early, late, and period. Tampa loses their right tackle. Our old friend, Charlie Heck. Welcome back, Heck. And he comes in, Tampa, without either starting tackle. Man, you needed to take advantage of that. I thought more than the Texans might have done it. I mean, it looked good later in the game, but it took a while for the Texans to kind of start taking advantage of those tackles, I thought. The Bucs still moving the ball. They get some help from 2 bogus calls, though. A holding on Stingley, an offsides on Will Anderson. Just, I don't know what they were looking at with either one of those calls. Yes, Will was moving when the snap was made, but he wasn't moving forward. He was just moving his hands, which I think you can do. It's not a procedure on defense. That's not a call. Stingley, I don't know what that was. That was your typical chuck at the line of scrimmage, and he let the guy go. That leads to a 16-yard touchdown pass, Egbuka. And Tom, Charlie Heck trips Lassiter on that score. The officiating, iffy, that whole drive. The first drive I was frustrated with. The second drive, I was frustrated more with the Zebras than I was with the Texans.
I mean, if you take that drive off the board because the Zebras didn't do their job, we're talking about a totally different defense. I know everybody wants them to be the top 3 defense we Bleav they can be. I just want to be fair about what we're seeing with the defense. I know they had penalties today. I know, the end of the game didn't go the way it should have went, but I really thought they played a good game. I really think the offense just has to do more, but I think it's hard to ask the offense to do more right now because they're in such an infancy stage with this offensive coordinator, and you just don't have all your complement of weapons too. I really feel like we need to see more Woody. We need running game like overvamp. I think they ran at Vita Vea way too much. That guy's a monster for a reason. Get out to the edges, even if that means Woody Marks more. And they refused to do that. They were committed to Chubb, and I get that because he's the bell cow. But it's things that the offensive coordinator needs to learn, right? These are things that I think he has to fix, and he will. It's just you're going to have to grow with him.
Tommy Taquito says Texans D is absolute garbage. Can't stop a cold. I guess, giving up 5 touchdowns in 2 weeks to Stafford and Baker Mayfield, and we just said one was questionable. Okay, I guess, Tommy, they're not trash. I mean, if you think they're trash, then, I would suggest you take a look around the NFL and see what the other defenses are doing. Next Texans possession, they go back to earning their penalties. An illegal shift right off the bat, but Stroud responds with a 20-yard pass to Hutchinson. Thanks to outstanding pass blocking up front. Give the guys credit right there. The drive ends on a miscommunication between Stroud and Schultz on 3rd and long. Hard to say who was at fault there. So the Texans needed the defense to show up at this point. But just when they make a big play on a Rankin sack, Dylan Horton negates it with a hands to the face penalty. Luckily, Danielle Hunter makes up for it with a sack. And Tom, it's embarrassing if you can't get big plays from the edge when the Tampa Bay Bucks are missing these tackles with injuries. I just wanted, that was my biggest issue with them today. I just thought with Will and Daniil, it took them way too long to start taking advantage of what was going on with Tampa and their offensive line in this game.
If you told me that Baker Mayfield was like Peyton Manning and was a statue, I would agree with you. Baker Mayfield did a really good job of moving around the pocket. He bought himself as much time. He ran when he needed to. I think he ran for 30, 40 yards, something like that. So, I can't sit here and act like Baker Mayfield was just standing still. And he ran for 33 yards. So, and I know that 18 of them were in one play, but for me, Baker's really good at evading and buying time, much like CJ. So I understand why they didn't get to him every time. I do think they brought as much pressure as you possibly could. I felt like from the second quarter till midway through the third quarter, it was just, he had nothing. They were like 0 for 4 on drives or something like that. And they were back there the entire time. So I get the wanting to be selfish and having 8 sacks and dude carted out in a stretcher or whatever. It's just not how it's going to go all the time.
Before we roll on, just a quick reminder, if you're not watching live, tell me what you think in the comments. Also look for our YouTube shorts. If you need a quick break at work, try to throw those up on a regular basis. Let your friends know about our live post games too, so we can get some little fun back and forth in the comments. We'd love to hear from more people. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube with notifications so you get the updates on the live shows and all of our content as well. You also want to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app. All right, next Texans possession. They desperately needed points in the final 2:43 because Tampa got the ball to start the third. It starts off well. Great 19-yard scramble by Stroud. But then Laken Tomlinson just bulldozed on a terrible sack. I'm not letting Tomlinson off the hook for this one. But, Tom, is this another one of those sacks Stroud could have avoided at all?
I always feel that way. I feel like what makes CJ great also is sometimes his greatest weakness, wanting to extend the play to try to find just a little bit more. I think ultimately the maturation of Stroud, he will get rid of these silly sacks he doesn't need to take. The one where, okay, they bought him 2 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever, and then he's just waiting, and they run him down. I really think he could have threw the ball away and lived to fight another day.
Yeah, and Tomlinson, look, I am not a fan of Tomlinson. I'm going to get to maybe the play of the whole game with Tomlinson, and he was responsible for that one. But, it's bad because if Tomlinson's not doing the job, who do you go to? Juice Scruggs, apparently. He's a leper. You might find him somewhere on a leper colony and on an island that the Texans are not allowed to go to, so you can't use him. And I don't know what the other choice is if you're going to bring in a guard to replace Tomlinson. But Tomlinson, it's not been good the first 2 weeks. I just straight up honest with you. I don't like what I'm seeing. Luckily, Tampa can't take advantage of the Texans' missed opportunity there. So we go to the third quarter. Bucks get the ball, but Mayfield sacked by Sheldon Rankins on third down. The storyline for a year is this Texans non-existent second half offense. And that was my only thought when we started the second half. I'm like, okay, let's see it. What's going to change? Stroud opens up, first down throw to Nico, second catch of the game. Okay, we got Nico involved, but the drive ends when Ogunbowale, and let's go back to what we talked about at the beginning. Ogunbowale gets trucked in pass protection. Stroud is sacked. Why is Dari in the game, Tom? I hate to beat a dead horse, but the Texans keep beating a dead Ogunbowale. Stop it already. He's not good in pass protection.
I don't know. Apparently they thought for however many plays he was on offense, because it wasn't many, that he could give them 1 or 2 plays. Maybe he doesn't. Woody
was so good in pass protection in this game. He's been so good in 2 games. He's been so good in the preseason. He was good in training camp. When has he not been the guy that you want out there to block in key situations, Tom? I don't get it. What are you looking at? What is the deal? Does Dari have pictures of Caserio in a hot tub with a girlfriend? Like, what does does Kaylee, somehow owe Dare Ogunbowale money on a bet from like 10 years ago? Like, why is this guy playing football for the Texans in key situations, and not just any situations, in key situations?
Well, the reason I believe Woody Marks is not on the field in those key situations is because that big R next to his name, and that stands for rookie. And the reason I believe that Dare is in the game in those situations is because he has the trust of his quarterback and his team. The team voted him as a captain. So I believe that the reason
hold on.
I believe
hold on with the captain. Hold the captains. Can I stop you on the cap? Because I keep hearing he's the captain. They got several captains. He's the captain of the special teams. The special teams. Who else was going to be the captain of the special teams? Most everybody else hadn't been there 20 years. Dare's been there for 20 years.
You could absolutely give me Fairbairn.
Yeah, the kicker is never going to be the special teams. I mean,
regardless,
I don't know.
It's a trust thing for me. The C is a thing. It's a respect thing. I believe the team. He has the respect of the team, and that's why they play him. He's their guy. Whether you want to believe that or not, whether you agree with it or not. That's how they view him.
Yeah,
they love him.
And as long as he's the guy, we're going to keep losing games because the plays that he's messing up are costing the Texans. He cost us the game last week. We all know it. We all saw it. The fumble. There were other plays in pass protection that were terrible last week. The pass pro was terrible this week. Again, we're going to get to another one. It's coming up. The whole thing's unfortunate because the special teams continued with a strong game. Tommy Townsend, gorgeous punt, backs up Tampa to the 8. More on special teams as this thing goes along. Will Anderson forces Baker into throw into Stingley's blanket coverage for the 4th straight Tampa punt. But the Texans O-line crumbles in the next possession. Patterson gets beat on 2nd down. And then total breakdown on 3rd down. The same terrible communication that we saw on stunts last year was what we saw in this particular play by Tampa. That just looked like it was the old Texans scramble drill on offensive line. Hey, who do I block? Nobody. That's what the plan is.
Yeah. It's been better. It's not been the same where it felt like CJ was literally running for his life on every play. But the Bucs defense is good as well. I know people act like these other teams just aren't good, and that's why they're so frustrated. You have to. Levante David is a monster. Like I gotta be like the guy, I guess, the guy that's going to see both sides. Because while I do agree, they have to clean that up if they want to go anywhere long term. If they want to be the playoff team that you want them to be, they have to clean that up. Those guys are going to get home occasionally, and that's just what happened to me. I really think that was a good play call, but good play design on the defense, and they read it right.
Yeah. By the way, I don't have it in my notes anywhere, but now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't notice anything that I didn't like with Marks Ersery in this game. So that rookie looked good. Hey, these Texans rookies are looking good. We don't need Dare because rookies aren't looking good. The rookies can play. Nobody was saying, "Oh, CJ Stroud's a rookie. Let's get him out of the game. Let's get Davis Mills in the game when he was a rookie." Like we see this in the NFL all the time. If a rookie can play over a veteran, then let him play. I don't care. Josh says Dare is trash. Needs that C off that chest. Not just needs the C off his chest. Needs the Texans jersey off of his chest. I mean, I got nothing against this guy personally. I just
sounds like it.
I like good. I like guys that can actually play football. That's sorry for that terrible hot.
He's a great special teamer. That's the problem. He's playing out of position, and this again goes back to my Kaylee thing.
What does he do on special teams? That's great. Like, what's so great about him on special teams?
He's one of those dudes, I guess, out on the edge. He makes a lot of tackles. Everybody loves him on special teams.
I don't seem to remember all these great tackles that he made. The great tackle that I remembered in this game was EJ Speed. I didn't see him making I don't know. The Texans' run defense looked much worse than they did against the Rams, Tom. And it was pathetic on this next Tampa drive. Stingley and Bullock, beautiful bracket coverage on a third down end zone throw to Mike Evans, and the Texans get a huge break because McLaughlin doinks that 38-yard field goal. But Tom, where was the Texans' run defense? At this point in the game, they gave up 5.5 yards per carry. I mean, they were getting totally Swiss cheese. The Rams game, they sort of sold out. And I don't know if D'Amico got scared in this. What do you think happened with that run defense?
I really think the Bucs had a great scheme of running at where the blitz was coming from. I thought the Texans tried to heat up Baker Mayfield a lot. I thought they brought a lot of pressure, and the Bucs ran at it. And for me, when you do that, I feel like you get guys up the field in the wrong direction. You make one or two guys miss. You're in the second level, and it's tough. The linebackers, to me, didn't play really well today. I don't think they tackled very well, and that was part of the problem. But, I mean, in the end, I still think it was a bend but don't break. I think they showed a lot of respect to Ibuka. I think they showed a lot of respect to Mike Evans. I think they did a really good job of trying to limit Baker through the air. It was like, we'll let you methodically try to move it through the ground, and they did.
Next Texans drive, nice play action call by Kaylee to Higgins, puts the Texans inside the 25. There's something that, hopefully Kaylee can start getting Higgins more of the ball. And I want to see more play action. I always love play action. I was such a fan of play action in the Kubiak regime. I just always feel like play action, there's a good chance something good's going to happen. You really give your quarterback more time for an offense that needs to give the quarterback more time. So on 2nd and 11, though, I hated Stroud's decision-making, Tom. He had Schultz wide open in the flat on the far side, but didn't check down, nearly throws an interception on a bad throw to Nico. But, he would make up for it the next play, hitting Schultz at the 7-yard line. But this is the type of stuff that has got to change with Stroud, Tom. He's got to get better at hey, I just got to get 5 yards here. I just got to make it 3rd and 5 or 6 instead of 3rd and 11.
I 100% agree. But this is all maturation stuff. And I think that one of the things we love about CJ Stroud is that he's this fantastic young rookie that sounds, when you hear him talk and when you see him on the field, he sounds light years ahead of where you would want him to be. But the mistakes that he does make are out there to be had. You know what I mean? We talked about it earlier where he tends to hold on to a little bit of the ball a little bit. I also Bleav exactly what you just pointed to. He's always looking for that bigger play instead of trying to take more of what the offense will give him, a la Tom Brady, and just go, okay, I can do this 7 yards at a time versus needing 15, 16, 20-yard explosives. And I think when the balance comes there, you're going to see a totally different quarterback. The numbers are going to shoot up. You're going to see he's going to throw for 300 yards more often than not. That's just going to have to come with time, though.
Yeah, I'll just point out that, yeah, it's maturation, but I know this has been a problem for 2 years, and I'm not seeing CJ show the baby steps. I need some more of the baby steps from CJ because we know this has been an issue. And I would assume that Kaylee has had to look at the film from past years and gone, hey, CJ, you sometimes got to just give it up a little bit and get the easy short pass. And it's there in Kaylee's offense from what I've seen so far. So hopefully that changes. Rest of the drive, next play, Nico catches it at the 1. Chubb stuffed on 2nd down. Stroud misses Nico on 3rd down. And then Stroud overthrows Nico on 4th down. The frustrating thing for me was he didn't even give Nico a chance on this 4th down play. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, let me get your thoughts on the 4th down play, but also, were you a fan of just kicking a field goal there? Because if you kick a field goal, you're within 1 point, and we've got just a few minutes left in the game, so all you need is a field goal to win the game after that if you get the ball back.
So, first off, I guess we'll start there because that's the more hot button topic. I'm always pro points, always. And people hate that because, saying you can't get 1 yard to put teams away is a problem for people. There's a large quantity of people that would have been very upset had the Texans kicked the field goal and lost by a point. You know what I
But
mean?
that was it was a long yard. I would almost call it 2 yards. Would you? It was about a 2 yard right there. I mean, 2 yards is a lot. I mean, that's something that if you're a team that's not a good running team and the Texans still, have got to prove that they can run the football. This wasn't the game that showed me much. They had a couple of nice plays, but overall, they're not a good running team. So 2 yards is a lot if you're just totally depending on the pass right there. Yeah, I would have taken the points. I mean, where the Texans are right now, where your defense is right now, where the game was at that point, I agree with you, Tom. You got to take the points there.
I think they were going to be damned if they did and damned if they didn't. I think the fan base was going to feel some type of way regardless. Had they had kicked the field goal, people would have been like, same old Texans team, 3 points instead of 7. 7, all of a sudden they've got a commanding lead. 3 points, they can come down and kick a field goal and beat us. Because I mean, as it turned out, the defense was gassed and wasn't going to be able to stop nobody anyway. So it would have been more likely that they would have been able to kick that field goal than it would have been to score the touchdown. The touchdown was going to be harder. Obviously, things changed, but that's the argument that would have came. You know what I mean? You want your team to be aggressive. You want your team to do those things. Tom Brady's Patriots team is going for that fourth down every time, and no one's questioning it. Now, do they convert them? Yes. But you want to see your Texans convert them. You want to see them have that aggression. The Lions last year, the Lions were like the darlings of the NFL because here they were. We're just going to outscore everybody. We're going to go on fourth down. We don't care. The Texans were trying to show in their building that they could get a yard. Now, I disagree with you about the running game thing. I think they are a good running team when everything is right. I think this is the perfect matchup to stop them because they want to run between the tackles. Nick Chubb is not going to get you left and right. That would have been Woody Marks. So I think they should have used Woody more today. I think that was a mistake that Kaylee made, was leaning far too much into his base scheme of, okay, we're going to run through the tackles. We don't care who's on the other side. Vita Vea has been just dominating the middle of the football field for a long time. You just don't run at him. And the Texans tried it, and it didn't work. And it wasn't until they got outside that they were able to make some things happen. I truly Bleav that, the Texans want to be a 4th and 1. We're going to go get it. The good teams go get that 1 yard. And today they didn't do it. I respect them for trying it. But now you go look on social media and everybody's butt hurt that they didn't kick the field goal because they lost by a point.
Yeah, I'm looking for the comments. What did you guys think? Brandon, Gerald, Eddie, should they have gone for it? Did you like the fact that they went for it or kicked the field goal? Josh, anybody? I mean, I'm just surprised nobody's commenting on that because that's a huge moment in this game. If you were wondering where Christian Harris is, well, welcome to the game, Christian Harris, as you commit a terrible face mask penalty in a big moment of the game on a run stuff inside the 5-yard line. Christian Harris, really, it's over. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but he can't get on the field. And when he does, he screws up. He's become the Lance McCullers of the Texans at this point. It's the first Texans penalty of the second half, but I'm going to keep talking about D'Amico's Texans and their dumb penalties until they stop it because they followed up with Lassiter's unnecessary penalty on a pass interference, a holding penalty, I Bleav. Then, Tom, a missed opportunity when Baker fumbles the ball on a scramble. Like I said, they had to take advantage of this stuff. There was the dropped interception early in the game by Alshire, and the defense, if they get that ball there, it was a perfect opportunity for this defense to be elite, which is what you want. They got to cause more than, have they had like 1 turnover in 2 weeks? Is that right? Do I have that right? That's it.
I mean, yeah, obviously, but it's not like an exact science. I can't tell you, like, if I put this guy on the field and in this situation, we're going to get X amount of turnovers. I think the fact that they got Baker to fumble the ball there was huge. The fact that White took a helmet to the ribs to secure the football, I mean, props to him for sticking his body on the line, because 2 dudes were conveying on that football like ASAP. It wasn't like it just rolled around forever. I really think the Texans defense is doing enough to win football games. The offense is not doing enough to win football games. And we knew this was going to be an issue. We just hoped it wouldn't be I mean, they lost 2 games by 6 points. These are games that have been in the balance till the end. So when we talk about
that's the NFL, though. The NFL is, you tend to lose a lot of close games. That's the way it is. There's only so many possessions. Typically, when you lose games, they're pretty close. It's not the Lions blowing out the Bears. That is not a typical NFL game. Look at the point spreads every week. If you don't think so, shout out to our friends at FanDuel. More on point spreads in just a second from FanDuel. Eddie says, given where this offense is right now, I would have taken the 3. V8 says, definitely go for 7, but don't look stupid on the play calling. Eddie follows it up with, but the play calling on the 1-yard line was abysmal. And then last thing that we have at the 1-yard line, Big Mac says, run 3 times with Chubb. And of course, he goes after Ogunbowale again. I always sign off on that. But the Texans special teams was flat out extraordinary because Frank Ross, that unit is balling, Tom. They narrowly missed 2 block punts earlier. This time they get there. Jakob Johnson makes his presence felt. Wow. That was big time stuff from this Texan special teams, just all the way around to make that play happen and to do it after 2 near misses. Usually when that happens, the special teams sort of figures it out and they're much tougher to get to the punter, but the Texans were able to get to him almost 3 times.
Yeah. Frank Ross, I think, and James Roy on our podcast kind of laughed at me, but I think Frank Ross could end up being a defensive coordinator or a coach somewhere. Like, I really like what Frank Ross is doing with the special teams. I don't know who or what team could ever come and poach him. I feel like the guy has been good. The special teams has been good for like 3 years in a row. And I don't know. I think either he deserves a raise or somebody's going to come get him. I really think the special teams has done really good. I love the additions of Jaylin Noel. I think that dude's an absolute weapon. I'm kind of curious how when they brought Jakobsen in, I thought he was going to play fullback. He didn't really play fullback. It was more special teams per se. I would have rather seen him like that. I'm curious, is that guy not a good pass blocker or something like that? But, made a great play on special teams. The coaches always preach all 3 phases. I think if you're going to get this kind of production from the special teams, you're definitely going to get closer and closer to just being a complete football team. And then when the offense figures it out, you're gonna win some games ugly.
Yeah, we've mentioned Jaylin Noel on the special teams. We've mentioned Jakob Johnson on the special teams. We've mentioned Tommy Townsend. We've talked about Kaimi Fairbairn. We talked about EJ Speed. We've talked about
their captain.
We talked about Dario Ogunbowale because he was the guy that told Jakob Johnson how to block the punt. And apparently Dario told Tommy Townsend how to put the ball on the 8-yard line. And Dario Ogunbowale, he told Jaylin Noel, here, fake left, then fake right. And then you can get a lot on your returns. But, now the Texans offense can't do anything, though, with the momentum. Bobby Slowick, his offense still in the building because after a bad Stroud first down throw, Chubb stuffed on second down, CJ throws a pathetic third down pass on a Tampa blitz. And here's the deal, Tom. That is the type of play that you would hope Stroud would read, know the blitz is coming, and either audible into a hot route or know where he can find somebody quick because, again, he's looking too much for the big play, but also this is about reading the defense and knowing what's coming. And that's something Stroud's not getting better at. He's got to get better at that.
Something I saw over the week, I can't remember when I saw it, but I thought it was amazing. It was on Twitter. I wish I could give whoever the credit because they were talking about Stroud. So it was a clip which they were talking about, or it was Tom Brady, and Tom Brady was talking about, his first years as a Patriot. And he was like, I guess the way that got started was they were talking about like quarterbacks and how they're groomed and are we out on this quarterback or out on that quarterback? And Tom Brady goes, well, who's developing these guys? How are they being developed? And Tom Brady talked about how he was developed, and it was the most amazing thing. I wish I could find it. I don't know if I retweeted it, but basically Tom Brady said Bill Belichick came in there and said, "Look, here is our defense. These are our defenses. This is what we're trying to do to you." And he says he still has the notebooks. He still has all the paperwork where it's like, "Look, here's cover 2. Here's Tampa 2. And these are the things that we're trying to do. And when you see this is what I want to do to stop you." And Tom Brady just soaked that all in and was like, "Okay, this is what these defenses." And he's like, coaches are not teaching their quarterbacks how to read defenses. And because they're not doing that, they're not being successful. And it takes them longer to figure it out. It's like these defensive-minded coaches need to do a better job of helping their offensive quarterback understand what defenses are trying to do to him so that he can beat them. And that's what made Tom Brady so good.
Yeah, let's just go get Belichick. That would be a great deal for CJ Stroud to have Belichick here. I'll take him. Let's go. Yeah, but D'Amico, again, like this stuff, all these little things that we're not seeing this Texan team get better at, this is a D'Amico issue. And, I'm going to keep asking this question as the season goes along. Do we still think D'Amico is a Super Bowl championship type coach? And he could have time to develop, but we have to see progress. We have to see progress from year to year. Just like players, you want to see progress. You want to see progress with your coaching. So the penalties, the dumb penalties have got to get fixed. He's got to be better at developing CJ Stroud, like you talked about. And he's got to get better at putting some of his players in good position. We talked about the Jalen Petrie stuff in past weeks. That did not take place today, but that's something that's got to get better as well. The Texans offense, unfortunately, they just they couldn't take advantage of stuff. So let's go to my next point. For the 100th time, Ogunbowale whiffed in pass protection during that play as well. So, how many times is this going to happen? I don't know, but we'll move on past him because I'm sick of talking about him. Anyway, Fairbairn nails the 53-yard field goal, so it's up to the defense at this point. Will Anderson, the sack on third down, of course, the D pitching a shutout after the first 2 drives. And everything's going good at this point. And then Jaylin Noel does it again. Tom, this is the most exciting Texan returner since Jacoby Jones. Almost forgot how fun it is to have an actual return game. That's cool.
I would argue Tank Dell had a little buzz going when he first burst on the scene. I think he was just too small, and people were worried about him getting hurt.
They didn't have him as a regular though. That was the thing. He wasn't a regular punt returner. He was they couldn't use him all the time because they were worried he was going to get hurt.
Yeah, I don't know if Noel is a little bit more durable, or if he gets nicked up, maybe they stop doing that. But I love it. I really think that you can tell he's been there, done that. It doesn't look foreign. All his movements don't look wasted. He's got a clear path that he's trying to execute when he's going. He's not a whole lot of left and right. I think Jaylin Noel is huge for this team, and I think he's going to be more of a thing when he becomes a wide receiver option.
All right, one thing I found out you could do in this game, I didn't realize this. The Texans are allowed to score in the second half. Nick Chubb said, "Hey, I think that's the end zone over there. Let's get in it." 25-yard touchdown. Nice blocks by Titus and the new guys, Harrison Bryant and Jakob Johnson, Tom. I mean, those guys, pulling those guys up on the roster actually did something for you.
Yeah, I don't know who gets the credit there if that's not D'Amico, because Casario's the GM, but definitely good job selecting those guys. I think Harrison Bryant they really had to have because they only had Dalton as the one tight end. CJ missed Harrison Bryant, I think, on what probably would have been like a 20-yard play if he could have hit him. And that was earlier in the game. But Jakobsen, I think, is a guy that needs to see more playing time. I really would love to know, can this guy pass protect? Because all the Dare reps could go to this guy and he could just be a wall because he seems like a large human. That's what I would hope. I think that this team is going to be okay. It just sucks today.
To me, it's Woody Marks. I mean, Woody's great in pass protection, and he can catch the ball. I don't know if Jakob Johnson can catch the ball, but I know Woody Marks can. And Woody Marks is dangerous in the passing game. We saw it in this game. I think there's more you can get out of Woody Marks. I would like to see them use him more in the passing game, because that's one way to stop this offensive line from that's sometimes, has too many holes in it. It's one way to stop guys from getting at CJ Stroud is like, hey, we got to watch out for Woody Marks, and that holds him up a little bit. What did you see in the 2-point conversion, Tom? Because that's really the play of the game, was really what it came down to. I mean, we could talk about the touchdown later on for Tampa, but I noticed Tomlinson, he didn't understand his side was overloaded. He took Patterson's guy instead of Deion Jones. And at that moment, I was like, that's the ball game, because I knew Tampa's probably going to go down the field and score a touchdown, and you're going to go, God,
you knew?
Yeah, because I was like,
you got the lottery numbers too? Because I didn't know.
When you miss a 2-point conversion and you know that the other team can win the game with a touchdown. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe it's because I've watched the Texans too many times over the years, and when the math is not good, they figure out a way to screw it up. And I was like, and look, Baker. The other reason I knew is like, hey, Baker kind of owed us one after what happened the last time CJ faced him off and won the game when he had the ball last. So, I mean,
I wonder how many Tampa Bay podcasters knew that CJ was going to do that to them, because that would have been interesting. Like, oh yeah, we knew they were going to come back and score on us. I really thought that we were good. I really thought the Texans were going to be fine. Baker made some really good plays. I think D'Amico probably needs to take some timeouts in there to give his guys a break, because you could just see that his pass rushers were absolutely gassed. And, they've been on the field a lot in the second half. And I think that had he had done that, I also am curious as to why he felt he needed to try to heat up Baker so much towards the end. I saw some people on social media talking about he played a lot of prevent, but I thought they brought a lot of pressure. And I thought if they'd have had more guys in the secondary, maybe Baker doesn't have those windows to throw. There was some open plays, check downs underneath that shouldn't have been there in my estimation, unless you were bringing pressure. So I thought they brought more pressure than they probably should have.
Somebody said in the comments, D'Amico played not to win the game or played to lose. No, he was aggressive. You thought he was overly aggressive, as did I, on going for it on the 4th down. And also, you could make the same argument like you were talking about it. But at the same time, I just see too many times when guys are just playing prevent, you weren't going to run out of time. So he had 4 downs going all the way down the field. I don't necessarily mind that he was aggressive at that moment, but you just couldn't get to Baker fast enough. That was the struggle. The blitz were coming. You needed somebody unblocked and to make Baker, to force him into a bad throw of some sort. And maybe one of our DBs just need to make you have this great back end of DBs. Somebody needed to make a play. A linebacker needed to make a play. And the real killer, and I don't know what you thought, Tom, to me, when I knew for sure we were toast, is that 4th down Baker scramble. I mean, that was the ball, because I thought, okay, if you got him. They were coming with the rush. Baker was dead to rights. He was kind of limping on that leg because the Texans had roughed him up a couple of times. And when we got that 1st down, I'm like, oh no. It's one of those where you go, oh, that's one of those ones we're going to be talking about at the end of the game, that Baker Mayfield made the play of the game right there.
He did make the play of the game, but at no point in time after he made that play did I think, well, the Texans can't stop them from going 60 yards in a minute and 30 seconds or whatever. I still felt really confident. I think the Texans are going to go back and look at tape and clearly feel like they shot themselves in the foot. They probably got sped up a little bit, and that's on D'Amico. I think D'Amico's got to have a slower pulse and be able to manage that defense a little bit better, to where, they're not giving up such huge chunk plays. There should have been more stuff underneath. I thought there were some plays to the sidelines they were able to get, home. Everything should have been funneled to the middle. I don't think they did a good job of trying to make them, eat up clock. And That's how they were able to march down the field little by little by little and still have 2 timeouts with 9 seconds left or whatever to be able to run the football on the 5-yard line or whatever. So I definitely put that last drive on D'Amico and his defense and how they attacked it. Not so much that, obviously they were gassed, but how they attacked it.
Also very fitting that the game ends on a run play for a touchdown because the Texans gave up 169 yards on the ground. To me, that's where the defense failed in this game. They just could not stop the run. This is a defense under D'Amico that has always stopped the run. They didn't do it in this game, and it was costly all through the game. There was just so many times where Tampa would get a first and short, or a second and short, or a third and short because they got a huge run play. And I don't know if it was missed tackles as much. What I saw, Tom, was just nobody was getting to the running back until 3, 4, 5 yards down the field once the guy had real momentum built up. And so that was the problem. Obviously, most of that drive was through the air, but, 2-yard run play, and it wasn't even much of a challenge. It wasn't like the Texans were like, oh, they almost stopped him. No, it was pretty much an easy 2-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, like, once they got to, like, the 20, if they'd have just let them get in the end zone to possibly go back and score a field goal. Obviously, that's hindsight, but, just something where I was like, I've seen that where the Patriots have done that. We'll let you score so we can go score and maybe win the game that way. They had all their timeouts at that time once they got all the way down there. But, nothing the Texans can do about it now except figure out how to go and win 2 division games and move on.
Our friends at FanDuel have the Texans as a 1.5 underdog against the Jags on the road this Sunday. Is it worth jumping on the Texans before the spread changes? Is the spread going to get worse for the Texans after this loss? I don't know, Tom. What do you do here?
I take them. I don't think Jacksonville's that good. I really think they've beat up on some teams that weren't that good. So I would absolutely take the Texans and the points against Jacksonville. If I can get 1.5, I can get 1.5. I'm taking it.
Bucks fan here says Pool Man. He says Texans have a hell of a defense. So he agrees with you. He does not agree with some of our other viewers of the show. Also, T-Man said, I thought the tackles played well. All the pressure came through the middle. We talked about Ersery. Titus, there was a couple of plays where I thought he could have done a little bit better. There was a play towards the end of the game. I'm trying to remember which one it was, where Stroud had some pressure come up the middle, but also had Titus's guy come around. What I couldn't tell is Stroud sometimes, I don't know if you've noticed this, Tom, he gets too far back in the pocket. So it makes it impossible for the tackles to get, to take out the edge. When you get too far back, when your drop back is too many yards back in the pocket, that's something that you would hope, Nick Caley could work on. Some of the offensive new coaches could do something with there. But yeah, overall, the offensive line, they took a lot of hits last week. Overall, they were better. My only big issue with the offensive line was Laken Tomlinson. I think, if you could improve him, and he's just looked bad 2 straight weeks. I mean, he's looked real bad. If you could improve him, that'd be a big deal. The fact that I didn't even notice Ed Ingram, this week, that's a good sign, Tom.
I agree. I really think that this is something that we're going to be talking about all season long. We talked about it all off season. We talked about it all the first 2 weeks. The offensive line is going to be the key to everything, right? CJ Stroud looks like a different animal when they block for him. Most quarterbacks do. When they're kept clean, they're going to play well. So if the offensive line can find a way to get their collective stuff together so that CJ can be clean and not feel so much heat, they're going to score more points. It's just week 1, you had the shuffle. Week 2, now we brought everybody back. And I think there was some stuff. You saw penalties. I think Titus had a penalty early where maybe that's because, okay, I'm in a different position. Guys are different next to me. But it's just going to be a theme until they fix it. And every time we talk about it, it's, well, they didn't spend the money or they didn't spend the draft capital, and now look at them. And I don't know that you can fix it any other way now than try to get the guys that they have and find the right Rubik's Cube color combination of dudes to keep CJ Stroud upright.
Yeah, a couple of things offensively. Stroud's got to be better at figuring out these blitz and getting rid of the ball quicker at times, as we talked about. My next point is Ogunbowale. Get rid of him. Get him out of there, because the plays that he's costing you are costing you games. You know, Tom said earlier, they've only lost these 2 games by 6 points. Well, Ogunbowale fumbles at the end of the Rams game. Ogunbowale gives up some big sacks that cost you possessions in this game. Get him out of there. I mean, Woody Marks is good. Nick Chubb is doing his job, I think. Chubb's doing him. I didn't expect magic from Chubb. I think he's fine. And frankly, if I'm looking at the MVP of this game, Tom, the MVP is Jaylin Noel, and maybe my number 2 MVP of the game is Woody Marks, because I like so many of the things that Woody Marks did. But Jaylin Noel is the MVP of the Texans in this game. I mean, his returns were big time.
Yeah, I won't argue with the Jaylin Noel thing. The Woody Marks thing, you got to pump your brakes. I know you're excited. I know he made a really good one play in the one catch he had for 37 yards. And I expect him to do more of that. But I think they're trying to slowly bring this kid along. I think that they're not trying to rush that, especially because they have other guys. Now, if Dare is going to be like this 2 weeks in a row, then yes, Dare is going to be looking for work, or he's just going to be a special teamer, which I think is probably what should happen. I think they should leave him out of the running back room. And if anything, you put Jakobsen in there, you put British Brooks in there. I think Dameon Pierce is a lost cause, but there's no reason that you have to have Dario Ogunbowale in the backfield. You know, for me, there's enough guys that they don't have to do that. They've got practice squad guys.
The Pierce thing, the fact that he can't play is another reason why Dare is playing as much as he is. Go get somebody. It should not be hard to find a running back. I mean, Jawar, let's go with Jawar. Let's go with British Brooks. Let's go with somebody else. If you need a third running back, most teams are fine with 2 running backs. And the reason I brought up Woody Marks, yeah, he just had the one big pass play, but I love his pass blocking. I trust him. And that's a big deal with the Texans, is what he's doing in pass blocking. I know it's not sexy. I know it's, you know, it's not cover girl, you know, great stuff, but that stuff is big time when you see what some of these other Texans running backs have done in pass blocking, not just Dare, but some of the other guys that we've seen over the last few years with Stroud at quarterback. And I love the fact of just having a guy that knows how to do that already. His rookie year, his first couple of games, this guy is already really good at picking up the blitz, knowing when to go into I see him recognizing when he can go into a pattern, as opposed to knowing, oh, this is a blitz, I got to stay back. You know, this is a time where I can just go out in the flat and give CJ an option or something like that. You know, I was trying to figure out who else were my MVPs of this game for the Texans, and it's like, it's hard to find anybody on offense or defense that just stuck out tremendously. I mean, who was the best player on defense for you in this game, Tom? Is it Will?
For me, Will and Danielle Hunter were in the backfield all game. Like, I thought they did a phenomenal job. The pressure they created was huge. I thought they were a byproduct of every sack, whether it was they got there or they forced a Baker into someone. Those 2 guys were huge. And for all the noise about, well, they didn't take advantage of this offensive line and they didn't take advantage. And I'm like, I feel like when you sack a quarterback 4 times as a team, that's a big number. I don't know what – I mean, I get it. The Texans are used to giving up a ton of sacks. But for other teams, 4 sacks is a lot. Baker Mayfield looked like he'd been to war. Like, he was bloodied, he was battered, he was beaten up. And I think that's a direct reflection of the defensive line, that front. And I think those 2 edge guys, they're huge.
Yeah, I guess I discounted it because of how shorthanded the Tampa Bay Bucks were at tackle position. And, when you played Charlie Heck, we saw that with the Texans. It's typically not good. And with all the injuries that the Texans had over the last 2 or 3 years, and Charlie Heck was around and still couldn't get on the field, that's all I have to know about Charlie Heck. I'm sure Charlie Heck is a heck of a guy. I'll just throw that out there, cheesy. But I guess that was my thing with Will and Daniil. Obviously, they were causing some havoc out there, but I kind of needed more early in the game when the Texans could have really grabbed momentum. Like I said, remind us also where everybody can find you on social media. The podcast, Tom, is the Bullpen Podcast. You do that with James, right?
Yes, absolutely. You can find me on Twitter. My handle's at Third Coast Tom. On Instagram, I'm at TCTom1. The other podcast that I do with my co-host James Roy is called The Bullpen. You go on YouTube, look for The Bullpen Podcast. We're on Twitter as well. Come check us out. It's just a bunch of guys still talking about Texans. A couple diehard fans, diehard veterans. It's a veteran-run podcast. We are pretty proud of that. So come check us out on The Bullpen.
Yeah, if you're not seeing us up on video, if you're just listening to audio, it's at Third Coast Tom, of course, third spelled out. And love having Tom with me on the ride here. Got to get some W's, though, this coming week. We've got to turn this around. Can't lose to Jacksonville. If you lose to Jacksonville, it's a super uphill climb to try to make the playoffs. So thanks for joining us on our live Texans postgame show presented by FanDuel. Thanks to our friends at FanDuel for helping us out and being a part of the show. We'll talk again next week.
You're listening to Houston Sports Talk.
Hey, don't forget to support us by subscribing and commenting on YouTube. You can always listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcast app. Tell your friends about us and share our show links on social media. Spread the word, everybody. Thanks for listening.